Special mention to when he approaches Charlene in the club.
He's coming over.
He looks so creepy.
Flynn's Arcade.
Hi, this is Flynn's Arcade, and this is my video about Series 1, Episode 3 of the Venture Brothers Midlife Chrysalis, with special reference to the book The Art of the Venture Brothers. Please can you like the video and subscribe to the channel, and now on with the video. Before I start with this video, there was some discrepancy as to what order to watch the Venture Brothers in, because I was working from the book which said it was episode 3, but when I went to look at the episode yesterday on channel 4, I saw it like a different episode came up and I thought this doesn't look right, and so I looked at the IMDb page and it said the same thing. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to go with what's said in the book, because I'm literally reading what the writers of the series, you know, have to say on it, and so that's who I'm going to believe. I had a look on Reddit, and apparently there was quite a bit of confusion about what order the episodes are in, and it is all from IMDb. On the actual DVDs of the Venture Brothers, they're all listed in the order that they are in the book, but I just thought I'd raise this because it's actually quite annoying that, because as we'll go into when I talk more about the episode, like canonically, it's very important that this episode comes immediately after Careers in Science, and I'm just quite annoyed by the fact that anyone who's watching it on channel 4 or whatever platform you're watching it on might be watching them in the right order and in the wrong order. So yeah, it is something to think about before we go on. This episode was the first one that was written by both Doc Hammer and Jackson Public together, and it's like a really deep episode. There's so many things happen in it, and we get some really extreme examples of character development, and also about some of the themes which we're going to see more and more as we go through the Venture Brothers. The episode starts with a really graphic depiction of the theme of failure, which is, you know, is the main theme of the Venture Brothers, because we see the whole family and Brock on a mission to Tanzania to deal with something, I can't remember, it's something really exciting, I think giant mutant lizards or something like that, and they literally stopped mid-flight to learn that they're not allowed to enter that airspace because Brock's clearance has expired.
Sir, this ID expired 6 months ago.
Great. When Marrakesh is overrun by mutant lizard people, don't come crying to me.
So right in this, the episode starts with the most failure thing possible, and it goes back to what I said in an earlier episode that, well, actually in episode 1 I talked about that Jackson Public always liked to give the impression that we'd just missed something, or that we'd just come in on episode 3 in a 6 season or something, 6 episode season or something, so that we felt we'd just been thrown into a day of life for the family, and that, you know, I really felt that here, because it was so, you know, instead of them going off to do this exciting adventure in Tanzania, they have to go home to wrestle with the demons. So I just love the concept of it from the outset, and then as we move through the episode I wasn't disappointed. The demons that the cast are wrestling with, number 1, Dr. Venture's upset because he's met one of the people who turned them around because they didn't want to go into airspace, said that called him grandpa, and that really upset him because he's 43 and he thinks he's even younger than that, and so he's really quite upset, so he's having a classic midlife crisis.
Grandpa, how dare they? I'm only 43, still a young man. Maybe a little frayed around the edges, but who wouldn't be between my work and raising 2 boys? Crap, who am I kidding? My looks are going down the toilet faster than an unwanted pregnancy on prom night.
He wants to meet a woman and he wants to get a posh car, which so it's manifesting itself in a really cliched way. Brock also is having a massive crisis in that learning that his license to kill has expired, and because he is such a violent character, it's really, really upset him. And so and just a special shout out to Brock's license in the book, and it actually Doc Hammer actually made the license because he was a graphic designer by trade, and he based it on his own driver's license. And so yeah, the thing it's a thing to look at anyway. But also the comments in the book, like I think it was Doc Hammer who said that once he said we're going to make this show, we want to make it beautiful, and details like that are really what set the Venture Brothers apart, and make it a next level TV show compared to other similar programs. Brock gets some major character development in this episode because the fact is he was starting to become a bit of a cliche, because the fact that every episode I thought he's going to beat somebody up and he's going to have sex with somebody, and I was just expecting for him to do it. And this episode completely subverts that, because he can have sex with people in this episode. It's just that he actually meets a woman who wants to have sex with him and he can't, because he's having a massive long dark night of the soul over the loss of his license.
I can't do this!
And it's an opportunity for him to stop being the Brock that we've got to know. And we get to learn some of the sides of his character. The more human side of Brock is quite interesting to see, because we first see it when he comes back from the nightclub in a really depressed state, having failed to have sex with the exotic dancer there. And and as soon as he gets back, he actually gives Dean some advice as to not welch on a bet.
Hey, Brock!
Go to bed. Why would you dress like that?
Dean lost a bet, and now he's my slave, and he's refusing a direct order to drink this.
You never welch on a bet, Dean. You be a man.
Which is a small thing, but the thing with the boys, the fact that they've had such limited advice from normal people, it was a really big thing that Brock actually managed to do that, and it showed that something's starting to change. He's starting to start thinking about the boys in a way that as actual young people that he's supposed to support, rather than just a job, which is the impression that I've got from him so far, that he doesn't really care about the family. He was just looking after them because he had to. We also learn as well that he used to look after General Traister's son when he was little. He was a babysitter for him, so he actually does have form for looking after kids. So, and it's something that you wouldn't consider about him, because the fact that we just think of him as just being a bit of a psycho and really just macho and violent, he has a much more softer domestic side, which we start to see come out in this episode. I need to mention, how bad Doc's Adventures attempts at meeting a woman are. The outfit he wears is awful. He looks like Dean calls him, he says, why are you dressed like the Joker to the left of me? As to what he's wearing, I don't know what it is. I'm guessing that because he's 43 and it's 2003, he wanted to dress like how he would as a teenager in the 70s, but I've seen people on TV from the 70s and I've never seen anyone dressed like that, so I don't know where he got the idea for that terrible outfit from. And it's also special mention to when he approaches Charlene in the club.
He's coming over.
He looks so creepy, and so it's the first time that we see just how bad he is with women. It's going really badly for him. However, despite his lack of social skills, Charlene seems quite taken with him. As they get to know each other more and more, she says to the monarch that you might actually like him if you got to know him. And then when they part company, she looks like she's actually crying a bit.
I will remember these last few days with you as the happiest of my life. Well, except for the caterpillar part, I mean.
Could I have one last kiss before I leave?
Knowing what we know now, it kind of makes sense that she would be attracted to him, because he is genetically almost identical to her future husband, so it all makes complete sense now. And this is just some major foreshadowing. This is what I think is genuine foreshadowing. It's in this episode, as opposed to the episode we've just seen about, with the careers in science, which I think was a retcon. I think this is genuine foreshadowing. We're already starting to see that there is some sort of really quite fundamental link between Dr. Venture and the Monarch. Further evidence that Doc's girlfriend has started to develop real feelings for Dr. Venture was the way the Monarch changed his tune throughout the episode, because initially it was obviously his idea to do the stunt with the caterpillar injection and things, and also he was really quite enjoying it. He even was perving on it at one point, so he actually was really getting off on the whole thing. However, because he knew his own girlfriend and he could see that she was starting to quite like Dr. Venture, because he started to get crazy jealous at some point.
I can't believe I'm hearing this! He's turned you against me with his oily sex. Ow! That cunning Casanova.
So yeah, I do think she actually did genuinely like him throughout this episode. There was a couple of literary references in the episode that I particularly enjoyed. The most obvious one was a reference to Franz Kafka, because Dr. Venture turned into a massive insect. And not only that, he actually says that he actually mentions the similarities to the Kafka's Metamorphosis in the episode. There's also a much more subtle reference, and Dr. Venture's in bed and there's a book next to him, and I was like, what book is that? And I looked and it was Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and it's just so fun. It's such a funny thing, because Dr. Venture is probably so stupid and emotionally stunted that he thinks Lolita's a love story, and because he'd fallen in love with Charlene, he wanted to read a romantic story, and it really isn't that, but he was too much of a hack to know that, and I just thought that was really clever characterisation. So to sum up, I love this episode. I know I like them all, but this one to me felt like all the themes of the Venture Brothers were really starting to come out. Also, that I always think of the Venture Brothers as a very heartwarming programme, and so far the tone of it has been, whilst it's looked cool and it's been interesting, it's been funny, it's had a very sort of cynical edge to it, whereas in this episode we started to see some genuinely heartwarming things. Obviously, I just spoke at length about the relationship between Charlene and Dr. Venture, but also there was a massive shift with Brock, because we learned these facts about him, the fact he used to look after General Troyster's son, and the relationship that we saw develop between Brock and the boys was genuinely heartwarming. I especially enjoyed the way that Hank was training him. He was putting him through a sort of military training course, and Brock, I don't know if he was enjoying it or whether he was appreciating it, but the fact he was tolerating it really says a lot about how he felt about Hank. I mean, well, because he obviously had a good relationship with the boys, but him and Hank had a special connection, and it was the first time I've got to see that. And another especially sweet moment was when Brock was going off to do his exam to get his licence back, and the two boys gave him things like his lunch and then his crib notes on his wristwatch. And also Helper gave him a lucky rabbit's foot and hugged him, and that was just really sweet, especially coming from a robot. So I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. It's near perfect, but the thing about the episode numbering, it really bothers me, and so that reduced the score. If it wasn't for the thing with the episode numbering, it would have got a 10. I know I've been giving all the episodes really high numbers, but what can I do? Obviously I'm a big fan of the show, but yeah, this has been one of the best ones I've seen so far. So that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. In my next video, I'm going to talk about Series 1, Episode 4, Eeny Miny Magic. It's the first episode where we see Dr. Orpheus and Triana Orpheus, so I'm quite excited about that. So I'll see you then, and please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel.